I'm Walter Clark, and this is my 66 GTO.
Hey everybody, I'm Muscle Car Campy, and we're proud to feature Walter Clark's 66 GTO tonight. It's got a 389, it's got tri-power, it's got the manual gearbox, it's got everything you ever want in a classic GTO, and then some. Not a lot of cars had hit songs written about them, but the GTO is one of them. And why not? It had style, it had class, and it had enough horsepower to fry those Uniroyal Tiger paws right down to the chords. And remember this, when Iggy Pop sang the song Lust for Life, he wasn't bragging that he owned a Pinto or a Pacer. It was a GTO. The GTO got a sexy new body in 1966, one that was a lot more curvaceous than in 65. The stacked headlights remained up front, but now they had parking lights integrated into the grille. Out back, the hidden taillight theme was revamped and looked better than ever. The hood scoop that first appeared in 65 was back, and could be made functional later in the year with an over-the-counter ram air package. Not only did that package make the scoop functional, but it included a more aggressive camshaft and stiffer valve springs. When the car was redesigned in 66, that formal roofline was gone from 65, and they introduced these beautiful sail panels that flowed smoothly down into the trunk. You had this recessed backlight, which really looked good. Kind of the sail panels blocked vision a little bit out of the back, but who cares? It's a GTO. You just want to know where you've been and how cool you looked when you got there. Moving down to the back, the trunk was enormous. You had those hidden taillights for 66, and what I really like is that big full-width chrome bumper, because it just, with the lights on and that big bumper, you got like a wall of chrome back there. And all the owners of pseudo muscle cars, it was a treat for them because that's really all they got to see of the GTO after the first 50 feet. The two GTO engines were basically carryovers from 65. You had the 389 4-barrel, which had 335 horsepower, and of course you had the GTO's world-famous tri-power induction system, which was slightly revamped for 66. The center carb was made larger, and the intake plenum was opened up a little to accommodate it. That engine, same as the year before, was rated at 360 horsepower. While this car looks mostly stock from the outside and under the hood, there are some deviations that were made. The car has a 5-speed transmission in it, and this is the hydraulic clutch cylinder for it. It also has headers, which really help these Pontiacs breathe. The engine itself was built by Butler Performance, and it makes 391 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, which is a great improvement over stock. Over on the other side, we've got a vintage air conditioning system in here, vintage air system. That really helps down here in Florida, where the average temperature is about 1,000 degrees from May until December. Another couple of deviations from stock on the outside of this car. Yes, it has Pontiac Rally rims, but they're really not Pontiac rims. They are 15-inch versions of the Pontiac rims. Walter also put the car together with the plastic inner fender liners that were not available at the start of 66, but they were available from the factory. He added them. They were not on the car when it was originally built. You can see he's got some big size tires in the back, some really big 15-inchers. Overall, this car looks stock. To the lay person is not going to know that it's not a factory car, but it is just gorgeous. Walter, you just turned on the air conditioner. You're my hero. I just officially, you've reached godlike status now. This is a fantastic car. You know, we're driving through your neighborhood here. We're kind of just tooling along a little bit, And one thing I remember, GTOs have the nicest seats. They really are nice. Now, are these finished with a stock shell, or did you go to an aftermarket?
No, these are the stock replacements.
That's exactly how it was
by Legendary Interior.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, what's cool about this car is you're not only you were the second owner of the car, you traded in a Falcon for it.
Yes.
But you were the fifth, and what we presume the last owner, or the last caretaker until something happens.
Oh, that's true. And then my son and his daughters can do whatever.
You know, you were saying how your granddaughters want to drive it now. So,
yeah.
You know, you've got a mission. You've got to teach the next generation how to move a stick around, how to drive a manual transmission.
Yeah, I can't wait to get them in here and teach them.
Man. Now, I see you have the AM/FM radio in here. Was that factory on this car, or did you add that later on?
I added it. It came with an AM, and I changed it to AM/FM.
You know, that's one of the things I like about the car. You know, there were, as I mentioned earlier, there were dozens of options for the GTO that year. You have the original information from Pontiac Historical on how the car was optioned, and you added some of your own fun ones that, you know, really make the car a lot more pleasurable to drive.
That's right. I wanted to be a fun car to get out and cruise, and I just did the things I'd always wanted to do. I did them a little bit at a time over the years.
What's your favorite part about this car?
Driving.
I know you added the Tremec TKO 5-speed in here with the hydraulic clutch. I think, you know, we both know that some of those aftermarket clutches back in the day could be a little bit stiff. Now you got a hydraulic clutch. It's probably like driving a new car.
It most certainly is. It's very very comfortable to drive, and the clutch pressure is mild, but it still does the same job that the old heavy duties did.
And with that overdrive in fifth gear, you cruise around the highway, it's like the engine's not even on, isn't it?
Well, you know, at 50 mile an hour, it's like 1,200. At 70 mile an hour, it's like a little less than 2,000.
Now, what gears are in the back of this car?
355 positive.
Is that what was in it from the factory?
Yes, sir.
Oh boy. So there's really there's a lot about this car that's painstakingly restored, and then you've got some other parts that have really, you know, that you've made your own. Feeling when those in carbs open up. Oh, what a thing of beauty that is. You seem like a pretty mature, responsible guy. Do you ever find yourself being that hooligan kid again when you're in this car?
Yeah, I go out 674 out in the country, and when there's no traffic, I do.
Yeah.
I become a teenager again. Take a 100 mile an hour blast. And,
there you go.
You know.
How old were you when you bought this car the first time?
17.
17. Man. And what was your payment? You had traded in a Falcon. I know you had to finance a little.
$43 a month.
I'll tell you what, if you give me this car, I'll give you $100 a month for the next 4 years, and then I'll give it back to you when I'm done. What do you think?
I'll take a rain check.
Oh, you know, I make that deal to a lot of people, and no one seems to want to take me up on it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know you added disc brakes to the front. You know, it's a major safety thing for these cars. That was the biggest complaint with GTOs. They had lousy brakes. The steering is all stock.
No, the steering I updated to quick ratio and changed it over to power steering.
Okay, so this was a manual steering car.
This was a manual steering, manual brake car. AM radio, 4-speed, tri-power. It did have a reverb. That was an option with the rear speaker.
Nice. Well, you know, most bands weren't even recording in stereo when this car was new. So, you know.
That's right.
Still got some giddy up, doesn't she?
Oh yeah.
Walter just opened the cutouts. Walter, you're my hero. just like that, it's nice and quiet again. That's a good feature.
It's really slick.
You know, despite increased competition from the SS396 Chevelle, street Hemi-powered Mopars, 442s, you name it. Ford came out with the 390 Fairlane GT and GTA. Nobody could touch the GTO. It was a huge runaway sales success. You know, they sold just under 97,000 GTOs in 1966, set the all-time sales record for any muscle car. Pontiac moved 96,946 GTOs that year. Some were sport coupes, some were sport hardtops like this one, others were convertibles. And what's really crazy is 61,279 had manual transmissions. Go try to find a kid today who can even figure out what a clutch looks like, let alone drive a manual transmission. And this car, 2/3 of them had the manual transmission in them, the 4-speed. But again, it was all part of the GTO legacy. You know, the three deuces and a 4-speed and a 389. Didn't say 3 deuces and a turbo hydromatic. Didn't say 3 deuces and a power glide. This was a real man's car, and women liked them too. All right, everybody, Muscle Car Campy signing off here. Wanted to thank Walter Clark for letting us shoot his 66 GTO. Also want to remind you to subscribe to Muscle Car Campy, and don't forget, ring that bell so every time a new video goes live, you get notified. Take care, everybody, and don't forget to burn some rubber.